Hey there, welcome to my tutorial for Divenire by Ludovico Einaudi. I'm glad you came here. I'm glad that I can finally release this tutorial because many people have been waiting and asking for it, and now I can finally present it to you. Now before we start with the actual tutorial, go and watch my cover so you see how I play the song. I play it mostly like the original sheet version, just with some slight changes in there, and after you did that, we can start with the actual tutorial. And first we're gonna listen to what the first part is gonna sound like. Okay, that was of course just a little summary of what we're actually gonna learn. Okay, just so you know where we are on the keyboard, here is the middle C. First, the four main chords of the first part. A minor, F major, G major, and E minor. Alright, so let's see what the left hand does. For every chord, you will play 12 notes. The first two notes you play are A and E on the first chord, and then you play A and G back and forth, and you do that 5 times, so you play 10 notes in total. So like this. Now I always count how many A's I'll play up here. I always count till 5 like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now you do the same thing with the next chord, only you start on this F down here, and then you play this C, and then you jump up to A and G again and do exactly the same. Play A and G 5 times. So like this. Now the third chord, you play G and D down here, and then you jump up again to A and G, like this. Okay, and now for the fourth chord, you will jump down to E and B down here, and then up again to A and G. But this time, you will play B instead of the second G. So like this. Okay, so it will sound like this. As you see, the easiest way to play that is to play A, G, A, and then jump up with your index finger and play B on top of your thumb. Then play A with your thumb again, and then go down again for the third, fourth, and fifth G. So like this. Okay, now this pattern is going to repeat itself and change very slightly throughout this first part. So practice this pattern until you can play it in the right tempo. Okay, so let's go through all the slight changes. Okay, so first you play it just the way you learned it right now. The second time you play it, you will play the first chord like this. Okay, so what changes is the fourth A. You count 1, 2, 3, and then you play C instead of A. I always count it on these A's. So you play 3 A's, and then the fourth is a C, and then the fifth is an A again. Like this. Okay, now the second chord. You play F and C down here, jump up again, okay, did you notice it? You play C on the fifth A, like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so we'll sound like this. Okay, now the third chord, you will play normally, just like before. And same for the fourth chord. Okay, so that was the second time you play those 4 chords. Now the third time. On the first chord and on this fifth A up here, you will play C. So like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, now the second chord, you will go down. On the fifth A, you will jump up to E instead of C. So like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. On the third chord, you will do the same as in the first one. On the fifth A, you will jump up to C. So like this. And the fourth chord, you will again play like before. So again, let's listen to that the third time you play the 4 chords. Okay, and now the fourth time you play the 4 chords. On the first one, on the fifth A, you will again play the C. Just like before. Now on the second chord, it gets a little more complicated. On the second A, you will play an E up here, and on the fifth A, you will play the C. So it will sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Now the third chord changes again as well. Instead of G being your last note, B is going to be your last note. So it will sound like this. Okay, so instead of going down to G after the fifth A, you will go up to B. So again, like this. And then the fourth chord is played like before again. Okay, so there's a lot to learn by heart here, but you'll remember it after a while. Let's listen to all of that again. I will always repeat everything in a decent tempo, not too fast and not too slow. Okay, now it's time to add the right hand. Now for this first section of the first part, it's gonna be pretty simple. You will just play this. And you combine every note with the first note you play on every chord. So it will sound like this. So as you can see, you play A, C, B, G for the first 4 chords. And then the second time you just play A, C, and hold B for 2 chords. And you do this twice. And that will already cover the first section of this part. Okay, let's go to the second section. The first thing that changes in this section is that you play C and B instead of A and G. So for the first chord, it will sound like this. I again count the C's I play. So 5 C's, like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then you jump down to the second chord and do exactly the same again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now this jump is a little tricky already. You gotta jump from here up to this C. That's a little tricky. Now the third chord, you will play B and A instead of C and B. So you go down 1 step. And now on the 5th B, you will jump up to D. So it will sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? And for the 4th chord, you will again play A and B. And this time, you will jump up to D on the 2nd and on the 5th B. So like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can probably already see the similarities to the section before. Okay, so again. Okay, now in this second section there are way less changes. So first, for the second time you play the 4 chords in the second section, you will play exactly the same as the first time. So again. Okay, now the third time, you will again play the first 2 notes for the first chord. And now, on the 5th C, you will jump up to this E. Do you see the similarity? On the third chord, you jump up to D on the 5th B. And this time, you will jump up to E on the 5th C. So it will sound similar. It will sound like this. You do the same thing for the second chord. And now you play the third and fourth chord just like before. And you also play this exact thing twice, like so. Okay, so let's listen to section 2 one more time. Okay, and now before we go to section 3, I will again add the right hand. And the right hand is going to be just as simple as before. You will play this. And you again combine the first notes of the chords on your left hand with those notes. Very simple. And the same thing for the second time you play those 4 chords. Okay, so now let's get to section 3. Okay, and it starts pretty simple. For the first 2 chords, you will play exactly the same as in the beginning. Now on the third chord, you'll move up to B and A and play this 5 times, like this. And the same thing for the fourth chord, only your last note is not gonna be A, but E. So it will sound like this. I play this with my ring finger, but you can play that whatever you prefer. So like this. Then you play this exact thing once more. Okay, and now it gets a little tricky. Now you will play this. I'll play it first and then explain. So first off, you don't play A and G anymore, but you go up to C and B just like before. And now, on this third B, you will jump up to E, like this. Then you will play C, B, C, and E is going to be your last note again. Again. Now I must say, in my cover, I don't play E as the last note. I just play B as the last note again, simply because I can't play it that fast. And you jump to the second chord and do exactly the same. Then the third chord, and you go to A and B, and also play D on the third A. Okay, like this. And E is gonna be your last note as well. And then you jump to the fourth chord. And now, the third A is not gonna be D, but it's gonna be E as well. Just like your last note. So like this. Okay? I also remember where to play those notes by counting these thumb notes. I call them like that because they're the upper ones. Here you play with your thumb. Like this. 1, 2, 3, up, 4, 5, and the last note. Second chord. 1, 2, 3, up, 4, 5, last note. Okay, let's listen to the third section once more. Okay, and now let's add the right hand. This time it's going to be a little more tricky. Your right hand is going to play this. Okay, so what you do is you play A 4 times and then you go up to C for the first chord. Then you play that again for the second chord. And for the third chord, you will go up one step to B and D and do the same. And for the fourth chord, you just hold this D. And now the second time you play it, instead of playing B and D, you will just play one B and hold it like this. Hold it for 2 chords. Okay, let's see how we combine these. It's not that difficult actually. The first 4 A's you will play on every second note of the left hand, like this. And then when you go up to C, you will not pause for one note, but you will play the C right away with the next note on the left hand. Like this. Okay. Then you play the remaining notes on your left hand, and then you will go down to the second chord, do the same thing. And the same for the third chord. And then just hold this D for the last chord. Now if we speed that up, it will sound like this. Okay, and the second time you play it, you will just play this B instead of B and D. Pretty simple, like this. Hold it for 2 chords. Now for this tricky part on the left hand, your right hand is gonna play C and E the same way as before, and then go down to B and D, like this. Hold this D again, and then again. And hold this B for 2 chords. And we combine it the same way. But now, your left hand, you remember you play this. And the cool thing is, as soon as you play this E up here, you will also go up with your right hand to this E. So you can remember that perfectly. It will sound like this. Same for the third chord. And that's it for the first part. Okay, now let's see what we're gonna tackle in the next part. Alright, that was the first step towards finishing this masterpiece. Now, do not give up after the first part. Many people do that. Big mistake. Just repeat it every single day. Just play for like 20 minutes every day. You do not have to play for 2 hours and practice and sit at the piano until your fingers are sore. Don't worry, you don't have to do that. Now, if you like this video, feel free to visit my Patreon page. If you want me to make more videos, more tutorials like this, you can pledge some dollars for every tutorial that I post. That would help me out to make way more of them and make them even better. Okay, that was it. Thank you so much. I hope to see you in the next part. Bye.